Welcome to my 30-day challenge, where I'm focusing on pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. I've addressed both behaviors, biases, fears, as well as outward events and experiences that I've never tried before. So I'm definitely looking to push myself in a variety of settings across a variety of focuses to really play with my perception, to play with this idea of comfort and discomfort, to push myself to confront how I interpret experiences, what I label as fear or anxiety, and really looking at life and the outcomes and the metrics with which we're measuring ourselves. Tonight, I have volunteered to be part of a panel, so I will be confronting a variety of situations that make me uncomfortable. I am one of 4 people in a panel. I am not familiar with the other 3 panelists. I do have small bios. That being said, I've never met these people. So there would be my, initial area of discomfort is not having control. I have a list of questions. I have an understanding of what we'll be talking about. But what the other panelists add to the conversation, offer in terms of their experience, expertise, I have no idea. So I'm walking in somewhat blind to a situation where not only do I not know these people, we're going to be in a public setting, so there'll be an audience. Speaking in front of groups is something that I am familiar with. I am a bit out of practice. When I was an adjunct professor, I had a lot more consistent experience with being in front of a group. The interesting dynamic of group speaking is that you never know what will be asked of you. So there's that wild card of humans. They really are a wild card. So I am confronting, the unknown to a certain extent. Again, I have a list of questions that will be discussed. I've had some time to prepare notes in terms of my answer, so I'm not going to be completely blindsided. That being said, I will be in a group of people who I'm sure at the end, if there's time, they'll open the floor for questions. And even if there's not time, the likelihood that someone will come up after the event and ask a question is a significant opportunity. So there's those couple situations that are a little bit, I don't want to say anxiety ridden, but they do make me a little nervous. And, being nervous is not a bad thing. It tells me that I'm on the right path of getting out of my comfort zone. That's exactly what it does. I think the bigger issue with being invited to be part of a panel and being included as a person whose experience and expertise qualifies them to represent a group in a panel, the bigger area of discomfort is this idea of imposter syndrome, or, feeling like you belong, wanting to belong. We operate in a world where we're largely responsible for our own expertise. There are very few trades, industries where there's still an education, an apprenticeship, and some sort of expert guidance that oversees your development in that area. In trades, I think there's still this notion of apprentice, which is fairly strong. The medical profession, when you do your residency, you have your education, you've gone through and you've passed certain tests, and you now have responsibility for patients with some sort of expert oversight and guidance. Outside of those few professions, the idea of apprenticeship has unfortunately been lost. So it's very difficult to, aside from self-proclamation or having other people esteem you to be an expert, it's difficult to know when you've reached that point, when you're close to that point. There's so much information available, and there's so many different industries to know information about. We're in an information overload. So defining and supporting the fact that you're an expert in something can be challenging, can force you to confront fears and feelings that you're not necessarily comfortable with. And I think these are good things. This is good for us to play with our idea of success, our notion of expertise, our experience of work and milestones and goals. I think that it's really important, if you're in an area where you either want to give back or being a thought leader is important up to the point of being crucial to your particular industry, to your particular craft, that you get yourself out there, that you call yourself an expert and you back that up by offering valuable insights, by providing information and gleaned wisdom to people. A colleague of mine thought that one of the highest callings is giving back to the next generation, whether that's through, education and guidance of your own children, or mentorship, or taking on some, interaction with children, passing along wisdom. They don't teach you a lot in school about humans and interactions and navigating hot topics because they're uncomfortable. In school, we focus a lot on what can be measured. And soft skills, it's much more difficult to measure someone's emotional intelligence than it is to measure IQ. So we tend to not focus on emotional intelligence as much as we can focus on recall and memorization, and even higher level of analysis is much more difficult to measure and assess efficacy. So much of what we do is focused in areas where we can provide, meaningful metrics. And I think as a society, we end up losing out. So I'm very interested in encouraging everyone out there, push yourself. Push yourself to the point of being slightly uncomfortable. Put yourself in new situations. Question how you define success. If your hard skills are spot on and your soft skills could use a little work, look at opportunities to exercise those skills. Public speaking, Toastmasters classes, maybe taking a class on acting to be able to learn a little bit about body language, about tone, about conveying empathy, these are all opportunities for you to put yourself out there in low pressure situations. You know, if you're not ready to go be an expert panelist, you could volunteer for a podcast or even do something less adventurous than that. You know, talking one-on-one with somebody that you don't know. Offer to host a workshop, or even, you know, if you're not the person who's managing a meeting, schedule a meeting. Proctor a meeting. Be the person responsible for managing the flow of the meeting. There are ways and opportunities to stretch yourself just a little bit beyond your comfort zone. If you think you can do X, I guarantee you can do 20% more than whatever that X is. Give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen?